Now, the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
For the last 8 months, I can say it's been the best 8 months I've ever been part of in my entire life. You know, coming here was just a huge blessing to me.
Go somewhere where I am wanted and I feel like I can grow and learn. Just a genuine person, straightforward, no BSer. He's gonna tell you how it is and what he wants to accomplish.
So my favorite moment was 2 years ago when I saw Ken Walker score 5 touchdowns against school down the road in front of me. That was a madhouse.
It is easy to see why Mel Tucker's favorite moment in the 100-year history of Spartan Stadium would be Kenneth Walker III's performance against Michigan in 2021. He had a front row seat to the epic day in East Lansing, and it was an awe-inspiring moment for his program. He is the 25th head coach in MSU's history and does realize the importance of those who have paved the way before him. So we thought, why not take a stroll down the field in the place he prefers to call the woodshed. One of the biggest things I think that is so intriguing about game day is when you guys first are in the tunnel here, you're waiting to rush the field. Walk us through what is going through your mind and, and the biggest thing. What's the biggest thing going through your mind as you stand right here and look out into the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, it's always, I never get used to it. Usually we have one of our staff members here, giving us a countdown and telling us when we can go. The players they want to get out there, but we have to wait. I just want to make sure that I get a good solid, 10 to 15 yard burst, then I can just veer off, so the guys can hit the field so I don't get run over.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You do not want to fall in front of, 75,000 people. That would not be good. This is the 100th year of Spartan Stadium. Earlier this summer, you mentioned you were asked about your favorite moment. You said that your favorite moment was when Kenneth Walker scored those 5 touchdowns against Michigan.
Kenneth Walker!
But what else does Spartan Stadium mean to you? What does it stand for?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it's where I started my career in 1997, and I can remember, walking over to the stadium from the Kellogg, carrying Coach Saban's briefcase, and we had a real cozy locker room at the time, and just seeing that atmosphere from a coaching standpoint, I knew about the stadium and from being a player and things like that, but it's different, to be here as a coach, and I have an appreciation for the fans. I have appreciation for the tradition, all the great coaches that have been here in the past, all the great players that have played here, and so. For me, it's a legacy, it's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's special. And we only have so many opportunities in here. We have to make the most of them.
How much would you say, too, that you morphed your coaching style from Coach Saban's?
Yeah, well, 3 out of my first 4 years in coaching, I was with him. 2 years here and then 1 year at LSU. Coach Saban is. He is a relentless guy in terms of his preparation, in terms of recruiting, attention to detail. It's nonstop. He has a very high level of intensity in everything that he does, and I took that with me throughout my career, whether I was, in college or pro. That's the mindset that I take. I'm very, very different from a personality standpoint than Coach Saban. But there's some fundamental things I learned from him that have helped me throughout the years.
The Ring of Honor with everyone here. And you see Duffy Daugherty and what he was able to do for Michigan State football and kind of how he was able to transcend and, really bring African Americans into the game. As you stand on the field and are as this university as an African American coach, what does that mean to you too?
I mean, it's quite a bit. I mean, Michigan State integrated college football, was a leader in the 60s, and that means something to me. Today may be actually the 60th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. That has a lot to do with how I approach things. There's a certain expectation, there's a certain standard that's been presented here at Michigan State, and I want to live up to that and exceed that.
Well, we're almost to the hash with the 100th marking on it for 100 years of Spartan Stadium. And I just want to thank you for your time, for taking a little stroll down the field before the season really starts to gear up for you and your football team.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was happy to do it. Go Green.
Tucker is hoping to make some more magical memories here at Spartan Stadium this season, and one player who could help him accomplish the feat is UConn transfer running back Nate Carter. He opened up to us about his decision to transfer to Michigan State, saying he put all his faith in God when it came to the decision. You're going to hear more from him when we come back.
This segment is sponsored by Spartan Dogs for Life.
As we go to break, Farm Bureau Insurance invites you to register to win an exclusive private dinner with head coach Tom Izzo. Go to InsideTheGreensweeps.com to register.
At MSU FCU, we believe that if you can dream it, you can achieve it. With a variety of certificate options, you can find the one that matches your savings goals. In 3 months, you'll be sporting that new watch. In 6 months, you'll finally take that vacation you so desperately need. In 1 year, you'll begin a new chapter in your life. And in 2 years, your family will get a little bit bigger. Achieving your dreams is possible when you earn more on your savings. Open a certificate today at msufcu.org.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Welcome back. Michigan State's game against Central Michigan was the first football game on campus since the tragic shooting in February, and it hit very close to home for UConn transfer running back Nate Carter. Our Ian Kress shares his story and how his platform was able to transform one of the victims' lives.
Appreciate you sitting down with us, Nate Carter. For you, you've been here a little less than a year now here at Michigan State. How have things been going for you?
Things have been great. You know, for the last 8 months, I can say it's been the best 8 months I've ever been part of in my entire life. You know, coming here was just a huge blessing to me. Being a part of this Michigan State football team, being here on campus, seeing all these people around, having family and friends, and meeting a lot of new people. I mean, it's just been great, and I've really enjoyed my time here.
What went into the decision to transfer from UConn, and why did you decide on Michigan State?
Yeah, I would classify it as a leap of faith. You know, I feel like when I was at UConn and when I was injured, you know, I got hurt and I had to sit out for the rest of the season, I felt like God was then calling me to go somewhere else. And it was hard because, you know, I've been at UConn for over 3 years, and I had met a lot of family there, a lot of friends, built some really, really great relationships there. So for me to kind of remove myself from that, it was a leap of faith. I had to really trust in God to be like, hey, I'm going to trust in you and kind of get out of my comfort zone so I can do what you've called me to do. And even throughout the process, God really just opened my eyes up to a lot of doors and opportunities. And I was just praying, hey, all right, Lord, what do you have for me? You know, what schools do you have for me to go to? Where do you see me making a big impact?
Just listening to you talk and seeing things that you post on social media, you are very open about your faith and your trust in God. Where did that sort of start for you?
Well, I always grew up in the church. You know, my mother and my father were believers. My father's a pastor back in my hometown, Rochester, New York. So I've always grew up around a Christian household.
I saw there's one quote that I think resonates to a lot of people right now. It says, our spiritual growth is like going to the gym. It's hard to get in shape if you only work out once a week. Likewise, it's hard to grow spiritually if you only work out on Sundays.
I had to find my relationship with God for myself. I couldn't depend on, just because my father was a pastor, I couldn't depend on his faith. I had to find my own relationship with God. And I found that, you know, when I did do that, that I had so much more joy, so much more hope about life. You know, this life is very short, you know, and I think a lot of times we take that for granted. And, you know, it's just me being in a relationship with Christ. That's something that's changed my life personally. And I wanted to change everyone else as well.
3 MSU students lost their lives last night in the deadly shootings. 5 others are in the hospital in critical condition.
The shooting on Michigan State's campus took place less than 2 months after Carter arrived in East Lansing.
No one ever wakes up expecting to go to class and that happens, you know, and it was definitely a tough time for our campus.
There's John Howe, a recovering victim.
One of those injured in the shooting was international student John Howe, who was left paralyzed from the chest down. Howe's roommate at MSU was international student Arjun Chen, who just so happens to go way back with Carter.
We were high school buddies all the way back in high school when he lived with me as an exchange student. So like I said, when God works all things together for the good, like it says in the verse, you know, it's crazy how I transferred from UConn to come to here, you know, and me and Arjun kind of connected back, and then 2 months later that happened, and it so happened that it had to be his roommate.
After the tragedy, Arjun decided to start a GoFundMe for his roommate. Only problem, he didn't know how to connect it with John's family in China and didn't know how to spread the word. So He sent it to Carter, who posted it on his social media, and a few hours later, the GoFundMe was up to over $300,000.
It was definitely an emotional moment for me, knowing that, my brother, who I lived with back in high school, his roommate was going through such pain. So I just wanted to be there for him. I wanted to be there and to comfort him and to mourn with him and to cry with him. I didn't get to meet John, but I was able to meet his father, and I was able to bring him to a church, and we were able to pray for him as a congregation, and not just for his family, but also for all the families and really all the students that were affected by the shooting, the tragedy. So it was a blessing that I was there for Arch and there for John's family in the time that I was. So I'm very grateful for that.
As you can see, he is certainly an easy player to root for. All right, we're going to keep the transfer theme rolling, and when we come back, we're going to sit down with a player who is new to East Lansing, but not new to Mel Tucker. We'll see you soon.
This segment is sponsored by Shoepad.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
When MSU found out Colorado defensive tackle Jalen Sami had entered the transfer portal, Mel Tucker said he had his assistants running down the hallway to try and seal the deal to get the big man to come to East Lansing. The towering transfer has all the physical tools of a big-time defensive lineman, and as our Tyler Driesinga shows us, his unique experience and maturity has helped him step up right away as a leader on the D-line.
He's one of the most experienced players on the Michigan State roster, even though he's played just one game in a Spartan uniform. 6'6", 330-pound transfer Jalen Sami has had coaches and teammates raving all fall.
Look at Big Sammy. He's just like a 6'5", 6'6", 330. That's all him. So it's like the size is wonderful.
You got a guy like Jalen Sami coming off the wire. He brings a lot of wealth of knowledge to our room and whatnot. And our guys are following them.
Sami's wealth of knowledge comes from his 5 years at Colorado, where during his freshman season, he played for a first-year Buffalo head coach named Mel Tucker.
What was it that you liked about Coach Tucker's style back in 2019?
He was tough, but he would tell you the truth. He was always looking out for you, tell you if you needed to do better or if you needed to work on something, but he was always encouraging.
Tucker left Colorado after the 2019 season to take the job at MSU. As the years went by, coaching changes were about the only constant for Sami at Colorado. He's played for 9 different position coaches and 4 head coaches. After Colorado finished 1-11 a season ago, another coaching change was in order, one that brought Deion Sanders to Boulder.
Obviously, Deion comes in, there's all sorts of headlines about his start with the program there. What went into your decision to transfer from Colorado?
Well, I was hoping to stay for my last year, definitely, playing, being at home, being a hometown native, but I felt that it wasn't a good fit for me, for many reasons, and I've also felt that I deserved a new start, at least to finish my last season. This is my last year of eligibility, so I wanted to go somewhere where I am wanted and I feel like I can grow.
Sami entered the portal and soon heard from a familiar face, Coach Mel Tucker.
The thought of him reaching out within that first week of me entering the portal definitely gave me a sense of stability and sense of desire that they wanted me.
With 5 years of Pac-12 experience, Sami's transition on the field has been pretty seamless at MSU. But off the field, this is the first time he's lived somewhere other than Colorado.
Surprisingly, I've never seen a firefly until I came here, and I was pretty shocked when I seen that. I was like, ain't no way.
I would have never thought about a firefly being, but I imagine the first time you see one, it's like, what the heck is that?
It definitely was, and I was like, I thought it was like, a regular fly or a mosquito. And then it started to glow, and I was like, that had me tripping.
Wildlife run-ins aside, Sami has enjoyed learning about the Lansing area. Studying other cultures has long been a fascination for him. He earned his degree in ethnic studies and says he was one of few Polynesian kids in his hometown of Colorado Springs.
Being a Pacific Islander in Colorado, there's not many besides those who are military. And, just being one of the only Polynesian kids in high school or in middle school, you stand out a little bit. You're a little different from everyone else. The way you grew up is different, but you can also compare and find similar features within other communities or cultures, which is what I found unique.
Often mistaken for a Hawaiian, Sami says he finds himself teaching others about his culture as an American Samoan.
It's pretty cool and sometimes frustrating a little bit to try to educate others, but you can't hate them on for what they don't know. And so it's best to, for me to display my culture on my sleeve or what I wear. I usually wear the traditional wrap, we call it ie.
Through every twist, turn, coaching change, and move across the country, Jalen Sami has remained true to himself and his heritage. And after years of constant change at Colorado, his search for stability has brought him to East Lansing, where he hopes to help establish a new culture on the Spartan defense.
Sami's not the only towering transfer on the defensive line who is new to East Lansing. You'll get to know Tamisha Adelier after the break.
This segment is sponsored by the Lansing Sports Commission.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
The biggest improvement to MSU's team this year is the defensive line. Mel Tucker and his staff pulled 4 D linemen from the portal, and all are a whopping 6'4" or taller, or 290 or more pounds. One of those additions is Tamisha Adelier, and as he shared with our Haley Schoengart, when he steps onto the field for game days, he is playing for more than just himself.
When you were one of the biggest transfers Mel Tucker scored out of the portal this past offseason, what was it that really drew you here?
Opportunity and just having individuals around me that have been with or been associated with Coach Tucker before, and their reviews on him kind of led me to where I'm at right now.
Tamisha hasn't just dealt with adversity and overcome hardships within football. Back in 2006, his family immigrated to Houston, Texas from his home country of Nigeria.
I have vague memories of Nigeria, but very strong memories of when we first got here, we got here in February. I remember the flight, I remember all that stuff. Houston is like the Lagos of America. So it's a lot of people that kind of understand your culture and know where you're coming from, and it was a hard transition at first.
When you immigrate to Texas, arguably the biggest high school football scene in the country.
The biggest and the best.
How did you really get introduced into football?
So I started playing football in 5th grade. My mom, with her big nursing background, and she did not want me, she was adamant, don't play football. But it was really just me petitioning. And I was lucky, my 5th grade squad, Texans Blue, we sucked. We were terrible. Maybe we were 2-8, 1-9, but I was like, man, I don't want to play this, I don't like losing.
That is when Tamisha heard about a new team being put together, the Katy Sun Devils.
It was a super squad, basically. All the kids that were on Katy Sun Devils, we ended up 6th grade winning a national championship, FBU national championship. We were on ESPN3. Being a part of the Sun Devils was a big part of me understanding how big football is nationally, but also in Texas. And it was a great experience.
From youth football to now a Power 5 player, through all the ups and downs, Tamisha learned from a very young age, determination is key.
In order for us to stay as legal residents in the United States, my mom had to be on student visa, and then so she went to school a lot. Seeing her juggle school, juggling dealing with immigration lawyers and trying to get us to get green cards, and eventually now we're citizens. Now my mom was really going through it. I have friends that are studying to be nurses or doctors, and then seeing an organic chemistry textbook, I open up, I don't understand any of that. Seeing her having to deal with all that stuff, you understand what I'm saying? That was really motivated, don't give up. In all circumstances, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, and you got to go back to Nigeria over the summer, I saw. What was that like?
It's funny saying this, because they always see pictures. So when they see me now, they're like, oh my God, you got so big, and okay? They see me as a football star. That's the picture that my auntie paints for them. I'm a big American football star and all this stuff. So I always think, okay, I can get to the league. I have the talents to do this. Let me go and do this. So when they get older, when they get done with secondary school, let me go and get them into school at a university in the United States. So these are all things, factors that go into my mind. I go back home and I get motivation.
Just talking to you can tell how much your family means to you. How much are you trying to make them proud, not only your family, but Nigeria proud on the football field every time you put on that jersey and head out into Spartan Stadium?
I'm trying to make everybody proud. Everybody back home, my mom's side of the family is still all in Nigeria. My dad's side of the family is kind of scattered across the U.S. and the U.K. So whenever I put on that jersey, I try to make them all proud. I get WhatsApp messages from my grandparents, like my grandma's, my mom's WhatsApp profile picture is me in my jersey last year in A&M. So they're always watching. They're always asking for links to games and stuff like that. So everything that I do, I try to make them proud.
Yeah, how do they watch your games?
You got to find a link, man. It's hard. It's hard. And Nigeria has a problem with power, man. So the lights aren't always working, but when they can, they get to it.
Those are just a few of the new kids on the block this season for the Spartans, so hopefully you were able to get a better understanding of who they are. As always, thank you for being with us and have a happy and healthy weekend.
This segment is sponsored by MSU Healthcare.